Hello, everyone. Today's Diaz. Me and Will are back again for another spectacular Marvel Plus talk. Today, we're going to discuss Spider-Man and, of course, the 10th anniversary of the Amazing Spider-Man. Will, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing good. Uh, been a fun week. I was pretty excited to revisit the Amazing film
hmm
and just overall discussing Spider-Man as a character finally.
hmm
Because last year we didn't do that. It was just one time for Spider-Man No Way Home. So I guess kind of like lead into the conversation. Is Spider-Man your favorite character, or who is your number one in Marvel Universe?
Oh man. I mean, probably Spider-Man. Uh, Definitely growing up, it was Spider-Man, and then Ant-Man uh, became a favorite. Uh, but I think at the end of the day, like it's got to be Spider-Man.
Mm, uh,
Yeah,
fascinating.
I, he's just he's the everyman. He's relatable. Like everyone can see part of themselves reflected in Peter Parker. So
Yes, that's very true. And I think what was kind of very unique about Spider-Man is the kind of behind the scenes creation of him, like
hmm
Stanley, of course. Famously, Stanley and uh, when he was approached to doing more like superhero comic book stuff in the silver age of comics during the 60s. He wanted to give up and he wanted to
hmm
leave the industry, and then because he
yeah.
just didn't like he didn't think it was worth the storytelling he felt it should be presented, right?
hmm
And of course, thankfully, his wife pushed him to, pursue his way of telling stories. And, obviously we got the Fantastic Four, and then the Incredible Hulk and, and then Spider-Man. And then it was like just doing something that was completely different, and I think every character from the Marvel universe is like the person you relate to is like everyday civilian. You got the family type with the Fantastic Four, or or psychological problems, like anger issues, like with the Hulk, and
hmm
then with Spider-Man you mentioned before, he's like the everyday man. He has money issues. He has girl problems. And it's very unique. I mean, at the time,
hmm
because he was a teenager and back then it was usually for sidekicks, and uh, I think it's really incredible how this character took off right away, um, which is neat. I guess, um, and also I don't want to kind of forget about Steve Ditko. I think he's another like thing that has helped Spider-Man to be successful out
Yeah.
of the bat. Like his design of like his costume and like the the way Peter was like very like lean, like skinny, is
hmm
very cool and different from Jack Kirby's design. What do
Yeah.
you think about Steve Ditko and his contributions to Spider-Man?
Yeah. I mean, Spider-Man wouldn't exist without him.
Hmm.
You know, uh, that design is iconic. I'm staring. I have a giant poster of Amazing Fantasy 15 on my wall. Um,
Oh
and
wow.
yeah, it's such a good design. The colors really pop.
Yes,
Um,
the
it's,
the web underneath his.
yeah, the web makes it really unique.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
And the original suit had those like web like wings too,
that's
which was cool.
that's the one I was talking about.
Yeah.
uh, yeah, I love that we got them in the MCU. That was a huge
Yeah.
deal.
Yeah. I
Oh my
remember
god.
seeing that in the Homecoming trailer. And yeah.
Oh my god. Wonderful. I was so happy. And
hmm
obviously his eyes moving.
Yeah.
Uh
That was
that was
always
oh my god.
yeah.
That was really great. Yeah, it's yeah, the design is great. Did you prefer um uh, do you prefer like the costume without the the glider web, or like, or you're just like you either take it or leave it?
I think like I could take it or leave it. Like I like when it is there, but I don't mind when it's not, you know?
Okay. Um,
Yeah.
I don't know. I I kind of like it. It's always the problem where like how practical it is.
Mhm. Right.
You know, I always kind of question that. Um, the logic to it, and another, I guess, cool thing about it. I like about Pierre, like he's very smart, and I like how. Do you think? I think we mentioned before. Do you think Spider-Man is like a prodigy, or like a very smart person? Like, is he the level of like Reed Richards, or I guess Banner, like in terms of being like a scientist, because he's where do you think where his character is at? Is
I would say he is. Yeah. I mean, they never make him like quite at the level of a Banner or Richards, but
Mhm. Okay,
he's certainly gifted.
gifted,
Um,
yeah.
and I think the fact that he's a teenager means that he's probably not going to be going toe to toe with those guys. But
Right.
yeah,
Or
I mean, he's
okay.
up there, you know. Like he's not quite on their level, but he's
Mm,
a genius still.
right. Yeah. I because I never thought about this until I think Tom Holland's Spider-Man was in the
Mm,
MCU, because if we had, Andrew Garfield, like I think he is like a prodigy person with high IQ,
hmm.
um, because of the things he can do. Like he can make self-made gadgets and stuff like that,
Yeah.
which you do see in Holland's character.
Yeah, he made his original web shooters.
Yeah, both, by the way. But oh no 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 no. No, I just remember his webbing is from Oscorp, right? From in the Amazing Spider-Man film.
Yeah, it's from Oscorp, but he made the web shooters.
Yeah.
He
Um.
didn't design the webbing though.
the- yeah. Oh man, that's weird. I didn't realize that. Yeah. Um. Because no, you're right about Holland. Because like you saw like a one scene quick where he's like he
Mhm.
he had a paper where like web something, and then like he tested, and then it was
Yeah,
pretty
he's
cool.
making it in the chemistry lab.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my god, that was so great. Oh my god. Oh my god. I I guess this is something that I was kind of surprised when the Raimi films were like going on back in 2002, right? And
Mhm.
I knew the difference between you know the organic one and his web shooters. I always preferred the organic web. I well, I'm just I like
No,
I
yeah.
you know what I mean, because when you get powers, right? You think you should have like a specific power should be there, and I always thought like, well, of course, when you get bitten by a spider, you can gonna get organic web, right? And I I don't know, like why? I guess do you prefer the web shooters over the organic ones? I
Yeah, I definitely prefer the mechanical web shooters just because I think
mhm.
it gives him a chance to like show off his intellect as a character.
Okay. Um,
Like there's nothing in the Tobey Maguire movies that like shows me that that character is a genius. Like we're told he is, and he's working for fancy scientists, but there's no like
yeah.
evidence.
That's true. Yeah, that's the
Um,
yeah, that's the oh
yeah,
uh
for
yeah.
the just like good um storytelling opportunity for like if you run out of web fluid and he has to get creative, you
Yeah,
know, which they did do in one of the Maguire movies. I forget which one,
Spider-Man 2.
where he right, and he like can't produce the webs, but I don't know, it just makes more sense for it to be like a mechanical thing.
Yeah, I guess so. It was always cool to see him like right now web showers in the '90s show and in Spectacular Spider-Man as well. Um,
Mhm.
I think it was used properly. Like I don't know because the films after the Raimi films, you do see them running out their webs, but like it's never like it never.
Yeah, they haven't really taken advantage of that in the movie yet.
Yeah. Um, just like a few exception, either it gets damaged by a villain or like in Far From Home, he did run out like web shootings, which was kind of funny because you think the Stark Tech will give him a amount of webbing, right?
Hmm.
But yeah, so it's really weird. Um, I guess I want to kind of jump into kind of like this the supporting characters. I think he has probably the best supporting characters of any like superhero character. After Superman and Batman, I
I
feel
would
like.
put him above Batman and Superman personally, but yeah,
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, yeah. I'm just throwing like those two have like the iconic supporting like cast that
yeah,
people know.
yeah,
I'm not like ranking them. I'm just saying like because like
yeah,
everyone
yeah.
knows
They're definitely the top three. Everyone knows like Alfred and Lois Lane. Yeah.
exactly. And everyone knows like Aunt May, Uncle Ben, and Mary J. Watson, and then recently Gwen. I feel like
Hmm.
got into more of the conversation
Yeah.
um with the films, and then of course the Spider Verse connection, and then
Hmm.
all that. Um, yeah. Who's your favorite Spider-Man love interest? I'm
Oh,
kind
it's
of
Gwen
curious.
Stacy. It's Gwen
Oh,
Stacy.
okay. That's my same as well. I
Okay.
actually like
Yeah.
Gwen Stacy. Yeah, I love her.
Hmm.
Um, well, I got into the character because of the Emma Stone portrayal in
Hmm.
the.
Yeah. I mean, she was great. She's fantastic.
Yeah, it was so a great performance, way better than the McGuire and like Dunson's relationship.
Yeah. It definitely helped that Garfield and Stone were dating at the time, but
Yes,
like their chemistry is just insanely believable in that movie.
yes,
Um, yeah,
and
and oh, man, they're both such good actors anyway that like I think that would have been the case
yes,
regardless. But oh man, it
yeah,
feels so authentic.
yeah. And the writing is better. That's another thing.
Yeah.
They like realistically like depict relationship better,
Hmm.
and because the McGuire films was very much like they were like in the like this mind of the '60s, and then but then they were trying to be contemporary, and like it felt
Yeah.
off.
It was very campy.
Yeah, very campy. But then the problem is, my problem is because I read a couple issues with Mary Jane, and her personality is very like she's very was it like robust? Like she's a very robust person who has this like very dark background. You know
Hmm. Yeah.
it, like how her father was like a abusive person, and like the family had to leave. Like if you read the original like Venom saga, like we get
Mhm.
like her full background, and
Yeah.
the Spider-Man films kind of vaguely touch on that.
Hmm.
So that was kind of like the disappointing thing is that we never touch on Watson's like background properly, and I just feel like we just didn't do enough with Kristen Dunst's version of Mary J. And also, she was very unlikable. I like, especially in Spider-Man 2, like she like didn't give Peter a chance to explain himself what happened, and like
Hmm.
he, her getting married was just like a spite on Peter, and I didn't like that. And then, like towards the end, she leaves. Was it Jameson's son?
Hmm.
And then like she hooks back to Peter, and I didn't like that. I just felt like that was going too far. And Spider-Man 3 is just like, oh my god, just the worst like
Yeah.
relationship, like breakdown, and just like it's a classic like poor communication relationship, and that's like the
Yeah.
perfect.
Like just talk to each other. It was like
Exactly.
even when I saw that in theaters and I was, oh man, however old, not that old. I was probably like a preteen. Um, I was like, just talk to each other. Like,
Yeah.
I think that was the first time that like a relationship thing bothered me in like a movie or TV show.
Yes.
It was like the first time I was old enough to be like, if you would just like sit down and have a conversation, none
Yeah.
of this would be happening.
Exactly. Like especially in Spider-Man 3, like
Yeah.
she should have told Peter about like Harry forcing her to, say this thing, blah blah blah. But like it's just ugh, it's going too far. Um and then we got the third one, or like kind of like this Catwoman like relationship for the superhero side of Spider-Man. Of
Hmm.
course, is Black Cat. I really like Black Cat. I think she's my second favorite after Gwen. Um,
Okay.
as a love interest, I think just in general, I like that Spider-Man has his like own Catwoman, and Felicia is a very fascinating character, and
Hmm.
I'm hoping we can get her in a movie, because I feel like this is
Yeah.
something we haven't done with Peter in the movies.
I
Uh,
think she'd be really good for like the next trilogy to be around.
yes, yes. What's your thoughts on Black Cat?
She's probably my third favorite.
Okay,
With MJ as number two, not the MJ from the Raimi movies, but
yeah, yeah,
MJ generally. Yeah, I think she's really interesting. I like that she is like only in a relationship with the Spider-Man side of Peter Parker.
yes,
That's a really interesting dynamic.
yeah,
Um,
um, yeah,
yeah, and she's just a lot of fun. So I love when there's like a love triangle with her and Peter and MJ.
yes. I do agree. You get that in the PS4. If you played the
Yeah, I love that's my favorite Spider-Man story is
yes,
that game.
yeah, the
Yeah.
DLC
Hmm.
pack. I really thought that they did a really good job on depicting that.
Hmm.
Um, it wasn't like awful. It was very cute. Like,
Hmm.
because both of them were older people now, and so um, it was very cool to see that. I
Hmm.
I think Black Cat has the most interesting like adaptation in the medium. Like it's kind of interesting to see the 90s one, and then the spectacular one has an amazing one with her. I think her father being the one that killed Parker's Uncle Ben in that
Mm.
in that universe. And um and then also in the PS4, it's also kind of intriguing of her background. Like it's they did a good job of adapting this character into the media very well, for in my opinion. I
Yeah.
think. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I always say that. And then a thing I like about Spider-Man is kind of like his Aunt May and Uncle Ben. I like um I um I like he doesn't have parents, and like we're dealing with like an actual orphan, and straight on, and like in a very realistic way, I would say.
Hmm.
Um, But one thing it does kind of bother me is the parents. Like, I just don't need like a background about his parents like being agents and
Yeah,
like it's
I
better that
agree.
like it's better to just leave it like they die accidentally. You know,
Yeah,
um,
yeah,
because I don't like the way we do it in the Amazing films, and that was like went too
yeah.
far.
That is, yeah. I rewatched the Amazing Spider-Man for the first time in a while
Mm.
in preparation for talking about it, and yeah, I love the movie, but definitely that whole plot line, I was like, I don't need this. I don't want this. Uh,
Oh, it's oh my god! It
it
didn't.
feels so unnecessary, and then like I don't know if you want to get into talking about the movie
Yeah,
or if we want to save this for later, but
yeah.
aspect of the plot is horrible.
Yeah. I think we'll save it later
Okay. Yeah.
in the movie discussion because yeah, there's a lot. It's a lot to unpack. Uh,
Yeah.
Especially because it connects to the sequel, and
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
yeah. But I will say I I don't mind like touching upon the parents, but like I don't need like a conspiracy thing
Yeah.
with it,
I don't need them to be present in the plot.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. But that's another conversation. We could go in very deep with that film.
Mhm.
Um, but I guess what's your thoughts on Aunt May? I like the character. I think she's very important. um,
Yeah. No, she's great.
um,
I don't know. I like when she's serving as Peter's like moral compass
yes.
in hard times. But I also like the stories where she's like aware that he's Spider-Man and she's just kind of helping him.
Yeah.
Those are fun too. Um,
Yeah. Um, how she knows he's Spider-Man? Like that's just a weird thing for me. Like, I mean, well, I guess him doing weird things in the house makes sense, right? Like
yeah, I think she's smart enough to put two and two together, you know?
yeah, that's true.
Yeah. I mean, it depends on like I don't know which version you're talking about, but
Oh, um, well, it's weird because I think the Raimi films, like I think she's aware of it, but
right.
like
But she
it's like
never says anything or it's
yeah,
never like explicit.
yeah, it's like the Lucius Fox like Batman
Hmm.
relationship in the Dark Knight trilogy,
Yeah.
and then the Amazing films. I like it's kind of like it's like tag on towards the end of Amazing Spider-Man 2, where it's like she
Um,
knows.
no, I was watching the first one. They don't say it,
Hmm.
but she knows.
Oh,
Uh,
really?
yeah, Peter like comes home and he's got a bunch of like bruises on his face, and
Oh, yeah,
she like figures it out, and you can like see it in her eyes, and she just like hugs him,
yeah.
but
Okay,
doesn't say anything.
okay.
So I think she figured it out in the first movie.
Yeah, okay. Well, and then it makes sense with her speech towards the end of Amazing Spider-Man 2. Then, okay, it's the same thing with the Raimi films, but it's just a little more like clear, I
Yeah,
think. And then obviously the MCU version of Aunt May, like she knows why, like towards the end of the Homecoming, and then
right. Yeah,
yeah, but then with No Way Home, she's basically the Uncle Ben of that universe,
hmm
um, which is very interesting. And I think I want to get into now the conversation of Uncle Ben. Like, I think Uncle Ben is like the best like motivation to push a hero to become like the hero. I
Hmm.
feel like, and I mean, honestly, with great power, there must be always come great responsibility. It's a great line, and I feel um, like just Uncle Ben himself is like a great like um superhero like plot point that gets to the heart of a character, and I feel like
Hmm.
every medium does that very well, and I think the Raimi and the Amazing films done a really great job, and then of course the MCU was kind of weird about it, but then they used Aunt May to become like the Uncle Ben for him in that universe, and I think that worked very well.
Hmm.
But what do you thought about Uncle Ben? Like you agree that he's like a great character to really push the hero's journey and like all the major
Yeah,
storylines.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's a reason everyone knows who Uncle Ben is,
Mm-hmm.
and it's because that um, story
Sweet.
beat's just so like great and iconic and powerful. So
Oh my god. I because this year we got the Amazing Film 10th anniversary, and then you got the Spider-Man one. The Raimi one has its anniversary. It's 20 years.
hmm.
Crazy. Um, my favorite, like I don't. It's kind of funny to call it favorite because it's kind of sad. Um, I think the Raimi Spider-Man film, Uncle Ben's death, is my favorite because just that kills me, and that hit me very hard
Yeah.
when when Peter comes into the crime scene and he sees Uncle Ben laying there on the floor, and then he like sees him and it's like Peter, and it's like he's like struggling to say his name, Peter, and
Hmm.
oh that kills me. Oh,
Yeah.
oh my god. Um, I don't mind the Amazing Ben death.
Hmm.
I I think it when we get to the Amazing Spider-Man, I feel like it retreated too much on the first film in
Yeah.
in certain
It,
areas, and
I think it wanted to do exactly the same thing that Raimi did, but
okay,
knew it couldn't be like identical. So it's like just a worse version of what Raimi
that's
did.
that's true.
Yeah.
Um,
Uh,
yeah,
but I do like what they did there. But it's not as good as the Raimi film there.
no. I mean, nothing can beat Cliff Robertson's performance there. I think it's very powerful. I like um I appreciate like the Raimi films using him like in like like a spec way, like in Spider-Man 2 and like the dream sequence,
Hmm.
and then of course the flashbacks in Spider-Man 3 with the retcon of the origin. Like
Hmm.
I like we bring back Uncle Ben a couple of times because that always in the stories we do with Spider-Man,
Hmm.
and I really like that. And then I guess what's your opinion? Like, do we need the great responsibility line for Spider-Man in every medium? Like, I mean, because every medium did that, except
Yeah.
with Amazing, really. Um,
Well, amazing. Again, I think they were trying really hard to not retread stuff that was in the Raimi movies.
yeah,
So they don't have that line, but Uncle Ben gives a really clunky speech that basically says the same thing.
yeah. By the way,
Um,
um,
mhm.
when he points at Pier, he does the Spider-Man, was it swing pose? The
Oh,
when
does he?
yes, it's there, and I wonder if Pier took that and he used that as a way to do the web shooting. Like if you go back and see the scene, you see it
Hmm.
like very quick, and he does the point, but like you see his like thumb, and then the finger, and then towards the end of the pinky, it's the Spider-Man
Hmm.
swing pose he uses.
Oh,
very like
maybe.
yeah, it's very cool. You have to see it. It's very
Hmm.
subtle and like a very cool like Easter egg on how like why Spider-Man get that pose, like how he swings and like how he
Hmm.
activates it, you know. Uh, but yeah, yeah, but yeah, and then um, did you mind that because like then we get into the MCU and like you got the MCU not addressing Uncle Ben. Like now we got No Way Home. What's your opinion now with that film coming out last year and like the way the MCU has handled Uncle Ben? Did you appreciate they didn't address him and like what's your opinion on that? Because it still kind of bugs me, but like I'm fine with it because
Yeah,
of what No Way Home did. You know,
yeah.
go ahead.
I
Like,
think I feel the same way. Like
okay,
um, I was fine with them just kind of like ignoring it, ignoring Uncle Ben because we'd already seen that story in two movies.
okay.
And then uh, in No Way Home, they did it again anyway, but with Aunt May. Um,
Mhm.
but they executed it really well, so like I was fine with it.
Yeah.
Um,
Um.
yeah,
Yeah. I'm. I guess. I kind of wish we made it very clear that Uncle Ben was like a partner to Aunt May, but like Peter didn't know well, and so he
well,
wasn't
yeah, I
like
mean, he might have known him. Well, I there's like we know that he exists because
yeah,
Peter uses his bag in Far From Home, and then
yeah.
there,
Um.
uh, Peter kind of gives a version of the like with great power speech to Tony
Tony.
Stark in Civil War,
Yeah.
which like you know could imply that like something happened with Uncle Ben that was similar.
Yeah. Which was better than the amazing one. Actually, when you're mentioning that scene, I was like, oh no, that's good. I think
I don't know if they're both clunky,
yeah.
but yeah,
Well, I will say it's good that we're talking about the amazing film. One thing I will give a plus to is that the Uncle Ben and Peter relationship in Amazing Fireman is great and is
yeah,
fully
I
developed. And I'm
and
sorry,
Aunt May.
yeah, and MA and where the MCU, I'm very confused and very unclear on the relationship between this version of Peter and Uncle Ben. Like, I get the traditional of Uncle Ben and Peter's relation, but you need to give me more concrete what was his importance to Tom Holland's version.
Yeah,
And we
I
don't
think ultimately May is serving that role for the
exactly.
character, which is fine. Uh,
Yeah,
but yeah, I just think I do think he did have like a relationship with his uncle, but it just wasn't as impactful as his relationship with Aunt May.
yeah. Um, yeah, and it bugs me because I think they should be more because like you mentioned the Civil War speech he does to Tony, right?
Hmm.
It's a really good one to explain why he's doing this, why he's doing this fireman thing, you know? And
Hmm.
I mean, I like how Homecoming handles it, but then when we get to like what Far From Home, that's where I take a problem with it. Um, because you mentioned the suitcase, and like he bluntly doesn't care about the suitcase, and like towards the end of that film was like Aunt mentions like where's your suitcase, and it got destroyed, and like it's like oh let's go. I was like what
Mm.
like like should you care about this thing that's like from your like important father figure you had in your life? Like I don't know, like I mean, that film is very bizarre. Like it's very tone deaf sometimes. Far from
Mm,
home, but
yeah.
what are we gonna do? I mean, um, and then anything else to say about Uncle Ben? Um, I I feel like I think we hit the trusses. Um, let's get into like the other supporting characters like Flash Thompson, Joe. Let's get into Joe Jonah Jameson. He's
Mhm.
another one that's classic. Like
Yeah.
he's like the anti Perry White, um,
Hmm.
which I like. And obviously, J.K. Simmons, who plays him from the Raimi films, and then of course in the MCU, is he's so terrific. One of the best, like,
Yeah. He's perfectly cast.
exactly.
Yeah.
And it was, I mean, I'm always like open minded and have like a new actor to play the character, but uh, I'm fine if you want to get JK back. But I think this character is really awesome.
Hmm.
What's your favorite version of Joe John Jamison besides the Raimi films? Because I like the '90s one because
Yeah.
um uh
Um, Probably the one from the PS4 game,
oh
which is
yes.
still J.K. Simmons, but um, I love the like Alex Jones-esque podcast host J. Jonah Jameson, which is what they ended up
Yes.
doing in the MCU too.
Yeah.
But oh man, whenever I was playing that game and one of the like is it just the facts that J. Jonah Jameson like podcasts came on, I would like stop swinging around the city just to like guarantee
This-
that nothing would interrupt it because I had to listen to the whole thing. Like it's so good.
Oh my god, that's so funny. Yeah, I like that interpretation.
Mm.
Yeah, it was funny. When we actually see him in the was it the Miles video game
Mhm.
when he
Yep.
needs to stop Rhino, and like that scene was my favorite. Oh my god, that was so hilarious. And yeah, I agree. I think that version, and then of course the Raimi films are great. I my favorite is the '90s one
Mhm.
because it explained why he hate Spider-Man, like why he hate like hooded superhero
Mhm.
people, because a hooded like hitman or like mugger kill his wife,
Mhm.
and I felt that was always a great explanation why he like distrusts Spider-Man. And I think I that's one of the things I like about this character is his like distaste of Spider-Man is believable when you get like clear information. And I think the '90s show does a really like awesome way to explain why he doesn't like Spider-Man.
Mhm.
Um, and it's kind of fascinating. He doesn't get in trouble with the law. The fact that he is the one that pushes some of the rogues being like real, like he sponsors what the Spire Slayer, the
Mhm.
Smines, and then he pushes Matt Gargan to becoming the Scorpion.
Mhm.
I kind of fascinated why he doesn't get in trouble, like why he doesn't get arrested with those things. Like, well, I mean, they had to have evidence, right? Like to link him to those
Mhm.
like uh crimes that those people did, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know. What do you think about that, Will? His
Uh, yeah. No, I love when like he's so convinced that Spider-Man is a villain that he's willing to like
yeah.
hire actual villains. It's
it
great. Um,
yeah.
'Cause he's
uh,
so. It's not that he's evil. He's just
mm,
so misguided
that's true.
and like
Okay.
caught up in his vendetta.
Yeah,
Uh,
that's true.
yeah, which is it's just like great, like comic material. Like okay, like I meant like comic as in comedy.
Yeah.
Um, yeah.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. It's kind of like it's like weird, like Happy Gilmore, where like the golfer that's like very like fancy, and like like you understand why he hates Gilmore in that film, because he's this like average person that hasn't done golf, like that,
Mm.
like in a very comedic way, because there's no
Yeah.
way you have someone that will literally sabotage your game, and like it's just going too far.
Hmm.
um and another character I like that like balance Jameson is Robbie. He's my favorite supporting character in the Spider-Man universe. Robbie, what's his last name? Ugh, God, the gentleman that supports Spider-Man. Uh, let me.
Robertson.
Yes. Yeah, uh, hold on. Yes. Yes. Robbie Robertson. We,
Hmm.
they're doing the LL again. Will they did? Oh my god. Oh god. Yeah, just like Superman, like Spider-Man has like a couple of these, like John Jameson.
Oh yeah, they're everywhere.
Oh my
It's
god,
great.
it's
I
just
love those names.
oh my god. It's hard for me to say these names, man. It's just
Yeah.
crazy. Ugh, like it's I think it's far worse than Superman than Spider-Man.
Hmm.
Like you got like Lois Lane, Lex Luthor, Lana Lane, Lucy Lane. Oh
Yeah,
my
they're all
god.
the same letter
Oh
for
my god, it's just
yeah.
messed up. Leah Luthor,
Hmm.
Luthor's sister is like, crazy. Ugh. Anyway, yeah, I really like Robbie Robinson. I think he's a great character. He's great in the '90s show as well. There's a great episode where his son gets like in trouble with the Tombstone character, and he's trying to pick up the gun that Robbie has, and it's a really powerful scene because this is like
Hmm.
the only time that show you see like an actual gun, then like the sci-fi guns that the '90s show do. Um, yeah, and then Betty Brant is great as well.
Hmm.
I really like that character, especially when we get into like the Hobgoblin stuff. If you ever read that storyline,
Hmm.
and any opinions on Betty Brant? Um,
Yeah,
I
she's interesting.
yeah, yeah, I'm not too familiar with her. Like I I know it's like her major one, like her major storyline or like story I heard is like the Ned Leeds like Hobgoblin thing, um, which is weird because of
Hmm.
the crazy Marvel editorial problem that was going on during that run. Ugh, crazy. Um, and then I guess who else that we haven't mentioned in supporting cast? I mentioned Flash Thompson. Did you have any opinion about
Hmm.
Flash Thompson? I um
Yeah, I mean, it's usually just like classic bully.
yeah,
And then I liked, so it was about 10 years ago, they started doing the Agent Venom thing. And I
yes,
thought that was a good direction for the character.
yes, yeah. I think it was a good progression for the character, and it added more intrigue to the relationship to Spider-Man and the Venom
Hmm.
thing, and then Peter and Flash's relationship.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I like how he's like a Spider-Man fanboy, and then
Yeah.
and he doesn't know that Peter is Spider-Man, and like he bullies the Spider-Man, and he doesn't know that
Hmm.
his favorite person is that person. I do like that running gag
Hmm.
on Thompson, like he's a huge Spider-Man fanboy. Oh my god. Um, I I don't think I don't think the '90s show make a big deal of that. Like I know like the was it Spider-Man and his Amazing Friends cartoon
Hmm.
show makes a big deal of that. Spectacular makes a big deal of that, but like I can't remember if the '90s show does that. Um, uh, which maybe I need to we watched that. Thank God that's in Disney Plus.
Mhm.
Um, okay, I think that's well, I mean that's kind of like the major characters. There's so many supporting characters. Like
Yeah, he has a ton.
yeah, like there's Liz Allen I haven't mentioned. Um,
Mhm.
Madam Web. Of course, if you're a huge '90s fan
Mhm.
like me, and then Ned Leeds. Of course, he's now well known because of the Homecoming trilogy.
Mhm.
But I guess we can like get into the last topics of the major one that we haven't discussed is the Rose Gallery. Now this is where I'm very excited about. So I think we discussed this before. I think Spider-Man has the best Rose Gallery,
Mhm.
in my opinion, after Batman. You
Okay.
can you can do whatever you want, Will.
No,
You can say number one for
I have
Spider-Man.
to. I'll concede for Batman.
Okay. And okay, I'm happy about that because Batman has his best rogues. But
Yeah. No, I DC does villains very well.
yes,
Like at least with the Batman and the Flash.
yes, the Flash.
Yeah.
Oh
Whereas
my
I
god.
feel like Spider-Man's the only Marvel character that has a good rogues gallery.
Yeah, like it's crazy. Like he has like the most like variety
Mm-hmm.
than any Marvel rogues I ever seen. Like I mean, even like the Fantastic Four has iconic ones, but like they're few and in
Right.
between. I, I
Yeah.
and
Like you got Doctor Doom and like Kang, and then after that you got like the Mole Man.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
it's a short list.
yeah, and there's a problem where like Marvel always use one rogue into their rogues gallery.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's not like the Avengers, like when you have the all-star team and they use the rogues, but everyone is using their rogues. It's like it's
Mm-hmm.
weird. Like Iron Man has I don't know, like he always battles Doctor Doom sometimes, and like I don't know, like it's weird. Or I there has to be a good ensemble. Like or like Captain America's villains, or sometimes the Avengers villains. Like it,
Mm-hmm.
it's kind of weird whose rogues they are. I feel like or Spider-Man with Kingpin, where he's like everyone knows he's like originally from a Spider-Man villain, but like a lot of people like me always associate him as a Daredevil villain,
Mm-hmm.
and I feel like, but thankfully Spider-Man's rogues is like this is Spider-Man's rogues gallery. Like it doesn't
Right.
matter how like you know they've been fighting the other Marvel heroes. Like these are the Spider-Man villains, which I like. And weirdly, he has three arch enemies. Do you agree on
Mm-hmm.
that? Honestly, which is intriguing. That's something I never heard before. I think Batman has four arch enemies, but it's just like Joker took. Oh, you disagree?
No, I'm trying to think of who Batman's would be.
Oh, um
Like I Joker, obviously. I can't think of any that are like on the same level as Joker.
um I it's been kind of consistent if you take notice of it because of the '60s show and how like who was the most popular from that show and how the impact in the comics. I'm saying is the Riddler, Penguin, and Catwoman. Like they're the four major ones after the
Okay.
Joker. That's like the more arch enemies
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
like even you see that in the new Matt Reeves Batman film that's coming out. All
Yeah,
three
we got
are
Penguin, Riddler, and Catwoman, yeah.
yeah, and then they're the ones that are like the most recurring in the multiple live action stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Two-Face.
yeah, well except Two Face. Well, Two Face got popular after what Batman and his Batman the animation series, but whatever.
Yeah.
Um, who's your favorite villain? Spider-Man. Let's get into
Spider-Man.
yes. Who's your favorite
Um.
villain?
Oh man. It might just be because I just watched The Amazing Spider-Man, but I really like the Lizard,
Oh, really?
and I know that's like a left field pick.
Wow.
Um. Yeah, I like Doc Ock too. That's classic.
He's my number one. He's
Yeah.
my number one.
Um. I don't know. I like the Lizard.
Okay.
Because like,
Well, he's like I like him because he's like a sympathetic villain.
yeah, he's sympathetic, and then once he does like turn, he's
Yeah.
like he's just like silly. Like he's not that like evil.
Um.
He's always either just like I want to keep being a lizard, or sometimes he's I want to turn other people into lizards, which is
Oh,
just
that's true.
goofy and fun, and I love it. And then Kurt Connors is like you said, like very sympathetic because he's just trying to become whole again.
Yeah.
Um,
Or be resourceful again with his family.
yeah,
Because that's the one aspect I like about the lizard is his family interaction. Like they're the best stuff in his like episodes and the various animation shows. From the
hmm
'90s show and then Spectacular. I thought they really had a great one there.
yeah,
Um, when we get to Amazing Spider-Man, that's my biggest complaint. It's like they
yeah.
didn't,
His family wasn't.
there. It's like
Yeah,
that's like the most important thing about the lizard.
yeah,
Yeah. And then No Way Home just yeah there. I mean,
yeah. He's,
even
he's present.
yeah, like he was just present. I was so shocked when I saw that. I was like, wow, like the lizard should be more big deal, and it's just
Yeah,
like
and maybe
Sam,
they just couldn't get the actor, you know,
yeah,
and also or
um,
maybe they like didn't want to crowd the movie even more than they already were. Like
yeah,
I would have preferred if Lizard and Sandman got more time, but
yeah. I feel like Sandman got better things than the
oh,
lizard
he
did.
definitely got more than the Lizard for sure. But
Yeah,
he was still like they
like
couldn't get the actor like on
yeah,
set.
yeah.
So
Well, I like I don't I think it's not the screen time. It was just like why like the reason I liked Sandman there is because he was consistent from his Spider-Man 3 appearance. Like
yeah.
that's the thing. If the creators of the No Way Home film kept like they brought in the deleted scene from Amazing Spider-Man of him talking to his son, which is in the Blu-ray or whatever you have in DVD, right? Is
hmm
there. I wish we maybe brought it into the conversation and then it made maybe the lizard more complex, but they didn't do
Yeah.
that.
No, they
Um, I what else? I think uh, other characters I like from the Rose Gallery. Obviously, I think I love Hobgoblin. I want to talk about that.
okay, yeah, go for
Yes, I love the Hobgoblin. I think he's a better goblin than the Green Goblin, just
it.
personally.
Okay.
I no, because the '90s show, like he was the first goblin there, and of course it was voiced by Mark Hamill, which is great.
hmm
And I just like his design more than the Green Goblin. I think the hood and the cape works well,
hmm
and I think the Robert Kingsley, the actual Hobgoblin, not the Ned Leeds, because
hmm
that wasn't the intent holder of the Hobgoblin. As I didn't know Ned Leeds was the Hobgoblin. I thought it was Robert Kingsley, but it was
Yeah.
some weird Marvel editorial problems that was going on during the '80s. Um, very weird, but I think the Hobgoblin was intriguing character. I think when you read his like old classic stuff, he's really great as a master manipulator. I really like him
Hmm.
more than the Green Goblin. I like his interaction with Kingpin during the war saga that was going on in the 80s. It was really cool. When he also teamed up with the Rose, another criminal mastermind who was Wilson's son, who
Hmm.
wanted to take down his father's empire. Uh, I think Green Hobgoblin is really great. I think he's a very fascinating character and who wants, power and all that. Um, and then I guess I want to get into uh, the one character. I want to say the one character. I want to say the movies that made this one character I did not care for made me like him more is the Vulture. I actually now like the Vulture more because of what
Hmm.
Homecoming did. I think
Yeah.
now I appreciate what they're doing with the Vulture. I think he's my favorite character in the Rose Gallery. Do you have that? What other character that like this movie made this one character you didn't care for like more?
Of the movie. Um,
I mean, as far as far in between. uh,
I'm trying to.
yeah. Um,
Um, maybe Green Goblin.
mm, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I really liked the dynamic in the Raimi movies where he was like a surrogate father for Peter.
Yes. Very prominent in the first film.
Hmm.
Then, like even the end of the when before he died, was trying to trick Peter to saying like I'm like a father to you,
Hmm.
and and then of course Peter like say no, my real father was Uncle Ben or Ben Parker, and
Yeah.
he's like Godspeed Spider-Man, and then boom, kill himself. Well,
Hmm.
uh, oh man, great scene, and but overall, saying like the father and son relationship in the first film and hits right spot then. No, he knew who his father was, and I like that scene. This great bookend. Um, who else? I guess I one character I didn't know too well that I like now is Mr. Negative from the PS4.
Yes.
I dug that character.
Hmm.
I want to see him in the new trilogy. I think he could be a good adversary for Peter to
Oh,
face.
he'd be great. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Um,
I, um,
yeah. It's too bad that Aunt May isn't around anymore in the movies because I really liked the
oh
relationship where he was like really involved with Feast.
yes, um, I that's true. I totally forgot about that. Yeah, Feast was in these movies.
Yeah, the Feast was in the MCU.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I know that it was introduced in Far From Home, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird because it's like it came out after the PS4.
Hmm.
It's kind of funny that they took that. I think you could do Mr. Negative. Like you can say he was like a good fan of like a good friend of Aunt May in the feast. And
Hmm.
when he hears Ant Man's death, I think you can make that as the motivation why he becomes Mr. Negative.
Hmm.
Like he is this new like he's kind of like similar to Mysterio from Far From Home. Like he's this new hero. He's trying to do the thing that Peter failed to do was to save people. Like I think you could do that thing where he's a person villain because he is like one of the aspects I like about the villains of Spider-Man is that they're like a mirror image of Peter, but also a personal
Hmm.
friend or someone close to Peter. And I think those are the best villains that you get
Hmm.
in stories, and I think Spider-Man does that very well. That's why the films have worked these last 20 years
Hmm.
since the first Spider-Man. Like, I mean, even No Way Home, they totally like doubled down on that. Like, Peter knows Electro and Lizard. I mean, Lizard like Spider-Man knows, Flame Marco, Doctor Octopus, and it's very good that they kept that in the villains, because sometimes when the superhero movies, when they adapt the villains, it, it's weird how the villain is so important in the story, but like I don't get connected to it like the way they think they're doing, you know, like like Thor 2, with Malekith, that doesn't work because he's not an adversary for Thor. He's like this old villain that's like connected to like Owen's previous family member. It's so disconnected,
Yeah.
Whiplash, good example. I like the character in paper, but he's not like a villain for Tony. He's like a villain for Howard, and I mean, I like his plan of like attacking the Stark legacy. That's good, but it they don't have enough like they shouldn't have left Whiplash off like the first act and then just have Hammer be the major villain throughout that film. But they did the classic thing. It's like we need to keep, because like Make It Work was very high at the time, with the wrestler and all that. And then we mentioned Ant-Man, of course. My problem with the Darren Cross character, like he's more of a Hank Pym villain than a Scott villain, and that's like, thank God the Spider-Man villains are like kept no, they had to be connected to Peter or a personal acquaintance to Peter, and then the story works. I feel like sometimes a lot of these superhero films do the wrong mistake, and then they're in trouble. Like Mysterio. I think I have my problems with Far From Home, but I think the way we depict Mysterio is great, and that's a good example of trying to connect to Peter. Like he's not like a friend or I mean, he doesn't know Peter personally, but like he was connected to Tony, and like that works. So that's very good.
Yeah, and then he does develop a personal relationship with Peter. So
yes,
it still feels personal.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, and I didn't care about this character in the films, but like after No Way Home, I liked this more. Electro, played by Jamie Foxx.
Yeah.
I think he was one of the wasted opportunity in 2, but got totally redeemed in No Way Home.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The Amazing Spider-Man 2 was a dumpster fire.
Oh my God. Yeah. Oh my God. 2 more years and then we had to discuss that. Oh my God. Yeah. Yeah. God. And I guess to kind of wrap things up with the Rogues, do you like their costumes in Page and in live action? I'm kind of curious to discuss that with you right now.
Yeah. I mean, like they've all had several different versions of their costumes,
Yes.
So it's hard to. There's some that I like and some that I don't. There are some that I think work in certain mediums that wouldn't translate well to others.
Yes.
Or even just like eras. Like Elektra's original 60s costume is like fine for the 60s. I think it's like fun and like goofy looking. So it fits like tonally. But if you put like if you tried to make a live action version of that costume, it would look really stupid.
Yeah. I think they could have done the one that happened recently where he doesn't wear the mask and like he was kind of bold and like he has like the eyes like kind of burn, but like it's shaped like electricity around his eyes.
I mean they could have done it like the PS4 version.
Yeah. Which it did retain his color scheme like of Lilo. Yeah, I agree.
And he would like when he had his powers activated, and he had scars.
Yes. I like
Yeah.
how No Way Home they deformed the mask when he did the electricity.
Yeah, that looked good.
Yeah, I thought that was a good way to pay homage to that. Um,
Yeah. Yeah, I liked his design in No Way Home.
yeah, way better than the Amazing Man. Into it again.
So much wrong with it. Yeah.
Yeah, so much wrong. Yeah.
I don't mind him being
Right. Oh, uh,
hmm?
you cut off there just a minute.
Oh,
uh,
yeah, I just said it, um, the Ultimate Electro design didn't translate well into live action.
no, I I think they overthink. I think the suit he got was fine. It was just the blue electricity, like making his skin blue, just didn't make a
Yeah,
lot of sense. Like, just keep Jamie Foxx's face and that's it. Like, that's
yeah, and yeah, so much of it just
yeah.
was executed poorly.
Yeah. I will say, I think Spider-Man's rogues are like the most successful at adapting their costumes after Batman's because like I'm like Sandman and Mysterio has the most comic accurate costumes, and then
hmm
you got the ones I think Doctor Octopus and who else picked that? I guess the Lizard have very good like contemporary designs, but like
hmm
at least they are like you recognize them as the characters from the comics. And
Yeah.
then I think the ones that are the most difficult, I think the most difficult has been the Green Goblin. I feel like I
Well, I mean, the original William Willem Dafoe.
um you like
It's pretty comic accurate.
yeah
I don't know if I
um
like it, but it's
yeah
accurate.
yeah
He looks like a Power Ranger
eh,
villain, but
that's the thing. I like things about it, but then there's just certain things I don't like about it. That's how I feel. Um, uh, I
hmm
I don't know. Like I think that I kind of wish they do the animatronic face that they were testing before they did the final pick of the mask
hmm
because it could have been better because it looked more menacing and like it felt more comic accurate. But I cannot blame them for not
hmm
going there because
yeah.
it could have been more difficult. But I did appreciate at least it looked like a goblin suit. So
hmm
what else I can say? And yeah, so I think who else I I think who else we haven't mentioned? Oh, we mentioned Green Goblin. Like, who's your pick of the arch enemy for Spider-Man? Is it Venom or Doc Ock or Green Goblin? Like, who's you think is the actual arch enemy?
I think it's Doc Ock.
Okay,
Um, but I prefer when it's Norman Osborn.
yeah, I think everyone kind of does that because I feel like he has the one that has the most impactful storyline, kind of like the
hmm
Joker with the killing joke and death in the
hmm
family. Like he killed Gwen Stacy. I mean, that's the thing that tops him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Doc Ock, I like Doc Ock. I think he's a good arch enemy for Spider-Man because he's an equal to him. Like he's a scientist as well. Like
Right.
he,
Yeah.
he has those ambitions like Peter has. When you see him, that yeah. What else? I guess I'm trying to figure out. Other what's your least favorite villain from the Rose Gallery? I'm kind of curious about that one. Uh,
And, I mean, probably one of the ones that you like never think about. Like, I don't know. Something like Hydro Man or
Hydro Man.
like
What? No way. I like Hydro Man. I think he
I
has a
don't
good.
know. I'm
I don't
not
know.
saying he's bad. I the real answer is someone whose name I can't remember. Like someone
Oh,
who's just so utterly forgettable.
yeah, that's
Because
true.
there aren't any that I like dislike.
Dislike. Yeah,
There's some that are good and some that are like forgettable.
yeah. I agree. Um, I think my least favorite is this character called Screwball. Uh, from
Okay, again, yeah. I
y-
have no idea who that is. So,
exactly, and
no, there is a screwball in the video game, right?
yes, that's the one I'm talking about. Like,
Okay.
I, I
Um,
like. Why do we have that character? And like, is she actual
was she
villain?
in? Is she an actual villain? I do remember her being annoying in the video game now.
Yes, I'm just looking at it now. I think this character is like new. Hold on, let me screw. If not, I think this is like a ritual character, maybe.
Could be.
I, cause I don't know. I don't know. Maybe
Um,
so, but I feel like that
no.
character was weird.
Yeah, screwball. Um, was from a 2008 comic. Just looked it up. Amazing
Okay,
Spider-Man number 559.
okay, okay. Yeah. Um. Yeah, I see it here. Oh yes, and doesn't have a name. It's just unknown. And of course,
Yeah,
this character is created by Dan Slott and Marcus Martini. And the description is kind of funny. It's the world's first live streaming supervillain. Uh, what? Oh my
yeah,
god. Yeah. Really bizarre character. Um. Oh my god. Yeah. Real bizarre. Um.
yeah.
Yeah. One of the worst characters I have seen because I
I
think. Oh, go ahead.
you go,
Go.
you go,
No, no,
you
no,
go.
no. I wasn't gonna say that. I was making a joke. Go ahead.
Okay. Uh, she seems very like the writers were like, what are the kids like? They like live streaming, and then they made, um,
Screwball.
yeah,
Yeah, really bizarre.
yeah,
Um. Oh my god, I hated it in the daily like and during the
yeah,
game and the DLC. It's like,
yeah.
oh my
She was
god,
annoying.
like she was trying to be the Riddler, but like far worse. It's like,
Yeah,
oh my god.
yeah. And those missions in that game were like so repetitive.
Oh yeah. Oh, I hope they get better. In the sequel. Ugh,
Yeah, I
this,
mean,
you know.
yeah.
Um.
Oh man, I if I could get a PS5,
Yeah.
I hope I can get one
Get
by the
one
time the
and
sequel comes out.
sequel comes out, and then hopefully you can experience some of the better mission and side
Mhm.
missions besides the one from the first and game.
Yeah,
um,
yeah.
yeah. Oh my god.
I'd been holding off on buying the Miles Morales game for
Mm,
so long because I wanted to play it on PS5.
okay. Good.
And
Good on
then
you.
in December I caved because I knew I wasn't gonna get a PS5 and I wanted to play it.
Oh,
So I held off for like over a year, but
oh my god.
yeah,
That that game had a really cool Tinker. The villain.
yeah.
It,
I liked Tinkerer was definitely better than any other
um,
adaptation I'd seen.
yeah. I like the one in Homecoming. He was very funny.
Yeah, he was not really like developed that
Yeah.
much.
Yeah, but
So I think I liked
the one from the
yeah,
Miles
what's her
game.
name? Yeah, I
Yeah,
liked her more.
yeah, I agreed. I really liked their design. It very was very
Mm,
retro. Uh,
yeah.
Finn Phineas Mason, the female
Oh
version.
right, yeah, yeah.
Uh,
Finn Mason.
yeah. Great. Another version, another character connected to the hero that also
Mm-hmm.
works. That yeah. Again, the games also know what they're doing. In this story. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and now, let's kind of get into like wrapping up the whole 60th anniversary. Um, what's your favorite story from Spider-Man?
Uh, I really like it's another like pick out of left field. Um,
Oh my god.
Spider-Man Blue.
Oh my god, the Jeff Flow story.
Yeah,
Oh, that's a good one. Okay.
yeah. Um, it's a really like interesting like look into his relationship with Gwen. Um,
Yes.
and then I really liked the ending where like MJ comes up to him as he's like grieving at Gwen Stacy's grave on Valentine's Day instead
Mm,
of being with her. And she's not mad, she's just like understanding.
yeah.
Um,
Yeah. I
and
mean,
they like go home together.
oh,
It just like it shows how much Gwen Stacy meant to Peter, but then also it shows how strong the relationship between Peter and MJ is.
yes.
Um, and
Very true.
like at the end of the day, like the best parts of the Spider-Man stories are like the Peter Parker like interpersonal
Yeah.
parts, like his relationships with the people in his life.
Yeah. And then
Um,
and like the influence that Spider-Man does as well. Like
yeah.
that's another one. Yeah, I agree. That's a good story. Yeah. Batman Long Halloween, another top story from Jeff Wolf. I like from the Batman universe. Uh, yeah. So mine, I guess, like mine personal favorite Spider-Man story is Kraven's Lost Hunt.
Okay.
That's
Yeah,
I
it's a good one.
yeah, it's a good one. I mean, that one is probably the darkest Spider-Man story I ever read. I mean, I owned the Alien saga of Venom,
Hmm.
and they're great too. I mean, the build up between the suit to Venom, it's really great. But I think Kraven Last Hunt is really great because especially because I like Kraven the Hunter as a villain. You know, I think he's a cool character. I like his gimmick, but like I don't know, something about him. I think the version I like the most is from the Tiny Show, maybe, but it's not saying much. But I
Mm.
I think this story does a really good job of doing like an insight psychology on Craven and his perception of Spider-Man and like it, I love his plan, like his twisted plan to put Spider-Man in the grave and then him trying pretending to be Spider-Man, and then seeing Mary Jane like doing the mundane routine of life and then at the same time wearing where's Peter and like it's just very like melancholy, story and it's like
Hmm.
downbeat, but then towards the end it's very positive when Mary J renews with Peter after the whole thing is over, um, and the art it's really great. Um, the art by Mike Sick, it's really wonderful. It just has that like very Batman Detective Comics kind of feel to it. It's very just dark, and I really like that story as a Spider-Man thing. Um, I like the stories when we do something with the villains, um, expand them more, and like give them death, like
Hmm.
the dying of the Great Stacy die, or like Green Goblin Reborn, and then I don't know if you want to do like a second favorite. My second favorite is The Kid Who Collects Spider-Man. That's the story where Spider-Man meets a fan, and is this kid has cancer, and
Mm.
that's one I want to bring out because that's another one that's so iconic. I mean, there's another story that does it again, and that's also great. I don't know what's that other story, but um, I think it's Dying Wish. I think um, question mark. Uh, but yeah, another story that's so powerful. Just uh, peer meeting a fan, and
Hmm.
talking about and this was adapted in the '90s show very well, and yeah, not as strong as the comic. I feel like the comic is really great, and I think um, I think the kid who collects Spider-Man is really great. Worst. So what's your worst Spider-Man uh story you don't like?
Yeah, I mean, it's probably the same as everyone's.
Oh my god, the One More Day.
Uh, Brand new day. Yeah,
Brand
one
New
more day.
Day. Oh my god. Um. Oh my god. There's too many days
No, I think
stories.
it's. I'm
Yeah,
forgetting now. Yeah, is it?
it's One
I
More
think
Day.
it's one more day.
Yeah, it's One More Day because um there's a story called Brand New Day that's at like a after more One More Day.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
One more day is the one that's.
hmm, yeah. Uh,
Yeah.
thank God. Thank God, No Way Home does it better.
Yeah.
Because that will.
It was a bold choice, adapting the storyline that no one loved.
Yes.
But they did it, and they did it well. So.
Yeah, it's pretty shocking. Um, yeah, that's why I like No Way Home. It's very ambitious with its
Hmm.
story, so that's good. But yeah, all right. So, anything else to talk about with Spider-Man? You want to go into the Amazing Spider-Man?
Yeah.